Hello and welcome back to Chelsea Challenge. I'm Mr. Grand 2 and, well, I did say at the end of the regular series that we would be back every time I completed a season of this save just to check in with a season review to see what has happened. And here we are, we're back. I've played the whole of Season 4 and it's been very, very eventful. Going to stick on the finances screen for now just because then it doesn't give anything else away. We have a lot of money in the bank. The first thing, the big thing, which we'll see a bit more of later on when we click forwards, is that the board have agreed to expand the stadium. I did ask for a new stadium, but that was turned down. But they have agreed to expand the stadium, and they are going to expand it by a whopping 11,000 seats, which is going to be very nice for the old finances as well. But we've got so much money anyway that it doesn't really matter. But then let's review how Season 4 went. We'll start, as ever, with the transfers, and there's a lot of players going out, not many players coming in. We left off at Season 3, we nearly won the league, we won the Champions League. I thought, well, we've got a good young squad, we don't really, like Jurgen Klopp, I was like, we don't really need to buy anyone, we'll go on and we'll go from strength to strength next year. Didn't quite work out how I planned, but in terms of the sales then, lots and lots of money being made, a few regens going out for a little bit of cash as well. But the big departures really, Antonio Rudiger to Inter Milan for £45 million, quite good money for a guy who's getting up there in years. Ruben Loftus-Cheek went to Villarreal for 13 million. Michy Batshuayi went to Watford for 25 million as well. And then the other major sales were all sort of youngsters who had been out on loan or not really done much, and we got a lot of money for them. Trevor Chalobah to Hertha Berlin for 12.25 million is not to be sniffed at. But then in January we sold Miles Peart-Harris, who was never going to be a first team player, to Wolves for 26.5 million. We also got 50 million from them for Conor Gallagher, which proved to be our biggest sale. I nearly regretted it. He got 2 assists in his opening game for them and then did basically nothing for the rest of the season. I was planning on keeping him, but we just didn't have enough slots in the old squad. But really solid player. And, well, hopefully he does better for them next season. In terms of the ins then, just 4 in total. Armel Bella Kotschap was signed on a free from Germany, from VfL Bochum. He's gone out on loan. Just a player we can make a bit of money on. But then otherwise, I was like, well, we don't really need much. I wanted to get a better left winger, and I wanted to get a good third choice goalkeeper. I think we've done that. In Jesus Zubilaga, he's just been in the reserves all season, not played at all, but got some really nice attributes. 5-star potential, could be an eventual number 1 for us. But then there's only 2 signings that made it into the first team, both from the West Midlands, kind of. Jude Bellingham was a bit of an opportunistic punt. He had a release clause, 22.5 million. Other teams were going in for him. It was deadline day. I thought we might as well get him because I think we could make at least a bit of money on him. He does have quite good potential, and he's not really played much this season, but one for the future. The only major signing then was Diogo Jota from Wolves. He was transfer listed, 43.5 million. Pretty good business, I thought. Natural, either side, either footed. Can play as a striker as well. Really nice attributes overall. I thought he would be fantastic. It didn't really work out very well. You can see from his stats, no goals in the league, 6.66 average rating. And that really summed up the entire season. So the first thing to say is we did win the Super Cup. We beat Everton in the final. They won the Europa League last season. It was a 1-0 win. It was pretty standard. I thought that that'd be great. It'd be a good season. It didn't quite work out how I planned. Carabao Cup, we did make it to the quarter final, but it was a 3-0 defeat to Liverpool, completely and totally outplayed. It was eventually won by Manchester United. FA Cup, also disappointing. We made it to the 5th round, but we got knocked out on penalties by Spurs after a 2-2 draw. And that was eventually won by Brighton, who are now in the Europa League. Good, well done to them. But then there was the Premier League. Now, we had high ambitions this year. We wanted to win the league. We didn't win the league. It was pretty disastrous. We started off with a 0-0 draw against West Ham, a 2-2 draw with Everton, which kind of set the tone for the season. Federico Chiesa getting 2 goals early on, which was really good. He was one of the stars of the season. We beat Spurs, great. We then lost after taking the lead against Manchester United. We then lost to Leeds, in which was a completely one-sided game, one-sided in favour of us, but then they scored the only goal. And that was really a sign of things to come. A few wins here and there, but we lost to Arsenal. We lost to Southampton, in which was just an awful performance. We drew 0-0 with Bristol City as well. It wasn't very good. By this point, we were down in sort of 12th place in the league. We then went off to the World Cup. It was the Qatar World Cup, of course. We came back and form improved considerably after that tournament. Lots and lots of wins throughout January. A 2-2 draw with Stoke was very disappointing, but some really good wins aside from that. Arsenal went down 1-0, and then the first game we actually played with the new update, the new patch that's come out recently, was the 4-0 win against Leicester City. Hudson-Odoi, Chiesa at 2 from Erling Haaland. This was the glory. This was the glorious game. Hudson-Odoi and Chiesa and Haaland, but especially the two wingers at this point, were sensational. Absolutely sensational. And I thought, well, we're going to have a fantastic end to the season. We lost to Liverpool, but then we beat Blackburn, and then we beat Southampton, and then we beat Brighton. But against Brighton, Callum Hudson-Odoi, you can see there, got injured. He got injured, he got kicked in the ankle, and his ankle snapped in two, and he was out for 3 months. Basically the rest of the season. He was in the form of his life at that point. He was 5 stars. He's now gone back down to 4 stars, and some of his attributes have taken a bit of a hit. But he was having an absolutely sensational time. 7 goals in the league, 11 overall, 4 assists, fantastic average rating. He was solving the issue of the left-hand side for us. Then things went very much wrong when he got injured. Chiesa got injured shortly after him, not for as long, but since he came back from injury, he was pretty much useless. And that was really the end of the season. We beat Everton, we beat Wolves, and then things went really badly. We drew with Stoke somehow, we lost to West Ham, we lost to Liverpool again. We did beat Newcastle, we did beat Bristol City, but then the run-in towards the end of the season was horrendous. I was playing the sort of standard TTT tactic throughout the entirety of this. Maybe we should have switched it up for some of the away games. We didn't, and it nearly cost us. At this point, we were sort of in 4th place. Pretty solidly in 4th place, about 5-6 points clear of Everton in 5th. Looked pretty simple. Looked like it was going to be an easy win for us. An easy coasting in to 4th place. We played West Brom, and, well, we dominated the game. They won 1-0. We played Burnley. We dominated the game. We took the lead through Erling Haaland, and then they equalised, and it was 1-1. Drew with Man City, 0-0, fair enough. And then we played Leeds at home, a must-win game for us, a must-win game that we completely dominated. Not many chances created, admittedly, but we dominated the play. They had 1 shot on target, and that 1 shot on target was an Aaron Martin own goal, kicking it into his own goal on the 92nd minute to give them a largely undeserved win. We drew with Spurs, which again is fair enough. We didn't really turn up. It was an appalling back pass from Lisandro Martinez to give the ball to Nico Lopez. We drew 0-0 with Watford, inevitable. And that meant that we played Man United on the final day of the season. We needed to win, we needed Everton to lose. We took the lead, Erling Haaland, on the 8th minute. It was looking pretty good. Everton went 3-0 up against Wolves in their game, so it was looking unlikely. But after half-time, Wolves scored, and then they scored again, and then they scored again. It was 3-3. It was looking good. We just had to keep winning and hope that Wolves got another goal. Well, we didn't. Matthias Henrik got a goal back for Man United. Harry Maguire scored 2. We got a consolation through Marco Asensio, but we lost 3-2, and Wolves didn't score again anyway. So that was it. We finished 5th. Not 3rd. Not 3rd anymore. 5th. Disaster. Out of the Champions League, you would think. 66 points, 4 behind Everton, way behind Liverpool, Man United and Manchester City, who were sensational. Arsenal fell off as well, given how good they've been in the previous years, but Liverpool won the league again on the final day of the season by 1 point. Leicester got relegated, Blackburn got relegated, and Bristol City, who we didn't actually beat all season, went down as well. But you will see, well, we have qualified for the Champions League, and that can only mean one thing. Indeed, the one competition we've not mentioned so far. The competition that we have, if you recall, have won twice, having reached the final in each of the 3 seasons that we've played so far. We won the group, 15 points, lost to RB Leipzig in one of the games, but overall very good. Surely we couldn't do it again though, Well, we did in the first knockout round. 0-0 draw with Atletico Madrid and then a 1-0 win. We went through 1-0 on aggregate. The quarter-final though, surely that would be a different story. Well, we went to Italy, we went to Milan and we lost 2-0 to Inter, and surely, at that point, you would have thought our goose was completely cooked. But we've been here before. This happened against Real Madrid in the first season. We lost the first leg 2-0, we won the second leg 3-0, and it happened again. Antonio Rudiger, sold to Inter Milan in the summer, sent off on the 19th minute. Haaland, Pulisic and even Diogo Jota scoring a goal each. 3-0 at Stamford Bridge. We went through to the semi-finals again. But in the semi-finals, it was Liverpool. It was Liverpool. They're the champions. 2 years running. We can't beat them, surely. We were at home in the first leg. Haaland scored. Dele Alli, he plays for them now, scored 2 brilliant goals. It was 2-1, 2 away goals. It was surely done. Nicolo Zaniolo popped up in the 94th minute with a thunderbolt strike to make it 2-2, but even that surely would not be enough. Don't forget that at this point our league form was in absolute freefall. We went to Anfield with expectations so low they couldn't even be seen. But Nicolo Zaniolo, he doesn't care for low expectations. Continued where he left off in the first leg, in the first minute, scoring another thunderbolt strike. Pulisic scored 5 minutes later. The away goals were cancelled out. We were 2 goals to the good. Romario Barrow got a goal back for them, but then Erling Haaland sealed it on the 87th minute. No extra time, no mucking around. We can't beat Leeds, we can't beat Burnley, we can't beat West Brom, but we can beat Liverpool 3-1 at Anfield. Which meant that once again it was time for the Champions League final. 4 years in a row, that's absolutely ridiculous. But we were there, again, we finished 5th in the league, so we hadn't qualified for the Champions League, and I was pretty sure that the board weren't very impressed by that, and therefore I would be sacked. I would be sacked if we didn't win the Champions League final, because if we didn't win the Champions League final, we wouldn't qualify for the competition next year. We played Real Madrid. For 90 minutes, they completely and utterly dominated the game. They came forwards with wave after wave after wave of attack, and every single time our defence, and especially Kepa, somehow stood strong. At the end of normal time, they had had 13 shots on target. We had only had 3. It went to extra time. Erling Haaland went down injured, and we called on Tammy Abraham, a man who, of course, last season dropped off a cliff and hasn't really been seen since. In the 113th minute, this happened. And then a few moments later, so did this. 2-0, both goals from Tammy Abraham, an inspired Gareth Bale-esque off-the-bench performance in the Champions League final. And we won. We won the Champions League again for the 3rd time in 4 years, 2 years in a row, and we have, by the absolute back door, we've qualified for the Champions League next season, and we have saved my job. I'm not quite sure how it happened. It wasn't particularly glamorous, but we got the job done. Overall though, the squad this season, not really very good. Goals, Erling Haaland got 25, which is good. Chiesa did really well before his sort of injury, as did Hudson-Odoi. But the average ratings tell the true story. Reece James top of the pile again with Aaron Martin, but Jorginho has fallen off a lot. Hudson-Odoi did well, but the big issues really, Lisandro Martinez, absolutely shocking. He managed to get himself up to a 7, largely because of the Champions League final, but he was awful for large stretches of the season. And N'Golo Kante, I think his time at the bridge is done, at least as a starter. Marco Asensio as well. Time for him to be moved on, but we'll have to wait and see what happens in the summer. That is how it ended, and that's where I stopped. I haven't done anything since then. Let's go forwards. We'll do this live. We'll go forwards, just see if anything happens. The board are, from being on the brink of surely sacking me, now absolutely delighted with the fact we've won the Champions League again. I mean, we can't even finish, we haven't finished above 3rd in the league, but we've won the Champions League 3 times. I don't know, best 11, Chiesa gets in there. Obviously we didn't really have any new signings particularly. We are going to need to massively rebuild the squad, I think, in the summer, especially midfield, probably defence as well, and we still need to solve the problem of at least a backup to Hudson-Odoi. But Reece James continues to excel, top of the class once again. Zaniolo gets goal of the season for a goal against Tottenham. I probably would have given it for one of the ones in the Champions League. Jota, Sonny of the season, largely by default. He was useless. But here we have the problem, because next season the board do want us to win the Premier League, and, well, that's going to be difficult. I'm going to accept it, but I don't think we will, and I think this may well be the final season. Next year, boys, what are we going to do? I think we're going to... I guess I'm going to have to say we're going to win the league. I'll say I'm going to challenge for it. We're going to challenge for it. We'll see what happens. I'm not really sure. Kepa gets goalkeeper of the season in the Champions League largely because of his performance in the final, which was sensational. He's been pretty rubbish all year, but that was good. At least Diogo Jota sold quite a lot of shirts. That's something. Budget for next year to rebuild. I just had to do a double take at that. 6 million wage budget. 417 million. I think Romans realised that we only just got into the Champions League this year. And if we want to actually do any better, we're going to need some serious investment. We really, really are. 417 million. Okay, I think it's time to start breaking the bank and get some big guns in. And then as we discussed, stadium expansion plans have been announced. The board have announced that they're going to enlarge the stadium by 16,000 seats. Okay, that's gone up. 77 million, 13 months to complete, and as a result, the ground's capacity will be temporarily reduced. One stand will be closed, so we're going down to 39,000 for now, but it will be considerably bigger. That's going to be very welcome. Hopefully, we'll be able to enjoy it, and we won't have been sacked by that point. I've been tapping up Sandro Tonali for about the last 6 months. Manchester City are not interested in selling him, but he's very keen on joining. And, well, I mean, he's the perfect replacement, not just because he's Italian, but he's the perfect replacement for Jorginho. He's kind of the perfect replacement for N'Golo Kante as well. So he's definitely someone that I want to try and get. He's going to cost a lot, but as we've just seen, we've got 400 million pounds to spend, so I think we can probably persuade Man City to part with him. But that's going to be the end of the recap of Season 4. I'm going to carry on until I get sacked, at least, so hopefully we'll have another video which is for the whole of Season 5. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, and make sure you check out the current ongoing regular series on the channel, which is Careering Onwards. We are with Cambridge United at the moment. It is going to be a journeyman series though, so we'll see how long we're at Cambridge for and whether we need to move on at some point soon. And I did just start a playthrough of Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu as well, which is going to be sort of mostly on the alternate days to the Football Manager stuff, but I mean, we'll see. I might not have it every single alternate day. It might be a few days where it's not up there, but hopefully that's something that will be enjoyable as well. So there we are. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you somewhere else, hopefully.